Today is Monday, January 6th. Bright sunny day here in South Florida. Unlike where we came from a few days ago where it's below zero. Sorry for the folks up north, but it's beautiful down here in Florida. This will be my first trip of 2014. I'm at the Loxahatchee National Wildlife Area, one of my favorite places here in South Florida. It's a little bit of a breeze right now. I'll probably start out fishing the canal here for a little while, and later on, if the wind picks up, I may go back on the canoe trail over there. We'll see. I brought a couple of fly rods with me. Don't know if I'll use them or not. Fly fishing doesn't tend to be all that great back here, I've found, at least on the surface. The fish tend to be a little deeper than they are in other places, and I have a hard time getting them to come up and hit a popper, but rubber worms and other types of soft plastic baits work pretty well here. So I'm going to push off and fish along these sawgrass banks for a little while and see what happens. Well, not a bad little start. Had a bite on the first cast of the day, and then this guy hit it on the second. A little bass, about 10 inches long, right out in front of this entrance to the canoe trail. Usually tends to be a good spot, and I don't know if anybody's been fishing here in a while, but it's a good start to the morning, and I'll keep on going from here. Tried the fly rod for about 10 or 15 minutes back here at the entrance to the canoe trail, where there's a little bit of lee from the wind. Had one little hit, and that was about it. There are a few small fish hitting the surface. I don't know what they're going after, but even though I put on a pretty small fly, they weren't interested. Debating whether or not to go back onto the canoe trail now or later. I see that there is a little bit of a weed barrier that I'll have to paddle through. Should be able to get through it. I talked to the man at the gate several weeks ago and mentioned that there was a blockage here in the canoe trail, and he said that they do try to take care of it, but I guess they don't really stay on top of it. I'm back to fishing with worms, and we'll stay this way for a little while. See if I can catch any more. Well, it wasn't too bad getting through there. Just a few paddle strokes. I guess it's sort of like trying to get yourself through a snowbank. Your legs keep working, and eventually you get through it. So I'm going to fish back here on the trail for a little while. I have a feeling the bass will be pretty active. There are lots of small ones back here. Never caught anything too big in this area, but sometimes the action's pretty good. At least you catch a bunch of small ones. A lot of bird life back here. I just love being back here. Back here on the trail, about to enter a narrow section of it that I call the tunnel, even though it's not enclosed on top, but it is very narrow with high sides. Was a little deeper back in there. Been using this plastic fluke worm the past 20 minutes on almost every cast. It attracts a fish, but I think they're real small sunfish with tiny mouths, and they tend to grab the tail of it. They can swim around with the tail in their mouth, but as soon as I go to set the hook, there's nothing there. I think it's because the fish are just too small to actually swallow this big bait. So I may switch to a different, maybe a worm for the time being, something that maybe only a bass will go after, since I'm not catching anything on this fluke worm. Definitely attracts the attention of the fish, but it's just not catching anything. Well, we'll see what happens. Well, I have been getting some protection from the wind back here on the canoe trail, but haven't caught anything. Just keep getting those tail biters. I've not actually seen exactly what they are. I kept one on quite a while, a few minutes ago, trying to get it up to the surface so I could see what it was, and that one eventually bit off the tail of the worm that I was using to try to catch it, and so I never did get to see it. So I think I'm going to turn around and go on back to the main canal and deal with the wind, but maybe catch a few bass before I quit for the day. Well, finally, fish number 2 of the day. Again, not very big. He actually bit that fluke worm and didn't manage to eat the tail instead of the head, so he got hooked. Rather than let him dangle here, let me shut this off, and there he goes. Getting back in the... It's almost 12:30. No action in the past half hour or so. Been trying various types of plastic worms and grubs and things like that, but pretty dead for the moment, so I think I'll call it a morning. Only caught those 2 small bass, but enjoyed being out here, especially when I think about what would be happening if I were back up north today. Certainly wouldn't be out fishing anywhere. Just staying indoors and trying to keep warm. So this is my first report of 2014. I'm supposed to get a cold front tonight, so probably won't go out tomorrow. But I may try to get out later in the week.